everyone. This is Margaret Manning with 60 and Me. This is the place where women over 60 come to be inspired. My guest tonight is Lynn Slater. Lynn is an academic and an author, but she also has a love for fashion. And she expresses this passion in her blog, which is called Accidental Icon. It's a great blog, and I'm just so thrilled to have you here tonight. Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you, Margaret.
You know, Lynn, we've got 50,000 women in our 60 and Me community, all around the world. And while we are different in so many ways, there are some similarities. And one of them is we love to express ourselves with what we wear, whether we want to be comfortable or fashionable. And I'd love to chat with you about this, about how we define our personality in terms of choosing clothing. So I had a fun exercise once where we were allowed to describe ourselves, our fashion sense, our style, in 3 words. Actually, it did change my life in many ways. I'll talk about that in a minute. But it was so hard. And I'll tell you in a second what I came up with. But what would be 3 or 4 words that you would use to describe Lynn Slater?
I would say somber, seductive, romantic, and nonchalant.
Okay, let's start with somber. That's a really interesting word. So strong. Tell me what that means to you and your personality.
Well, I think because of the fact that I am still working as an academic, and I'm working in the field of social welfare, and having to think about and address social problems and very serious things, that there is a certain element to my clothing that reflects sort of somber. Somber is not really sad. It's sort of reflecting the gravity of something. And so I think about that most often when I'm dressing for teaching or the work that I have to do.
So serious, a little bit more reflective or serious. Okay, somber I get. Great word to describe your style. And then what about, seductive and romantic are in a way related, but tell us about those 2 words.
Well, I think the seductive is more about how my body feels in particular clothes. And again, I am a huge fan of the Japanese designers, Yohji Yamamoto, Issey Miyake, because they really understand this. And the way that their clothes move around your body is very sensual, even though you might be covered from head to toe.
Yes.
So that you are able to project sort of a seductive aura because of how your body feels inside of the clothes. And what I like about that is that the clothes give you privacy in a way that wearing clothes that expose a lot of your body to be seductive does not.
It's kind of seductive in the sense of like you said, drawing people in, being persuasive, being interesting, being, curious. So I really, and I relate to that word. I would probably add that to my list as well, because even though I don't wear clothing like you do, so dramatically, I do choose color and shape. And I love things that flow like you described, so that you almost are not wearing the clothes. You're just floating in the clothes.
Exactly.
In the clothes.
You can still feel the outline of your body. It's not confined by the clothes.
I love that. And then romantic, of course, I can see the romantic, the lace, the bow, so tell me about that.
I have to say that I'm not usually a fan of some of the really super huge luxury brands, but I have to say I've been very captivated with Gucci because the last several seasons there's been this sort of romantic, intellectual, the models wear glasses, it's like finally someone is designing for a
you.
person like me.
Well, and for
And
an
there,
old, yeah, so go ahead. Excuse me.
yes, and there is a romantic element to those clothes with a lot of the bows and flowers. And so I've been this season inspired by that and feeling more romantic because of it.
Well, the reason that just jumped in there was that I was thinking about fashion brands and how expensive they can be. And I was just going to remind people, as you're sitting there watching and nodding your head going, oh, I can never afford Gucci. What is she talking about? Is you just get inspired by them, just by the magazines, and then look at the shapes, go and buy them wherever you shop. Don't feel like you have to buy the designer line.
Well, I'm going to tell you one of my secrets.
Okay.
And this is for all the women who are saying, oh, I could never afford that, is that 90% of my clothing comes from consignment stores and is recycled.
Yes.
And I do that for both the environment, but also because it allows me to have access to these amazing clothes that otherwise I might not have decided that was how I'm going to spend my money.
And there are a lot of places now that you can go to get, fabrics and clothes that were from another time that are in consignment or estate sales. That's always a good, or if you can't do that, then just get the things that, accessorize to get that look. And I think that's the secret. So for me, what was my words were actually, cultured and bohemian. And, those two words kind of went together because I kind of like the classics, and I'm a Pearl girl, and I like that sort of clothing, but I also like to put on a beret or a cape or something like we talked about our bohemian days, our hippie days.
Yes.
And so I think that, and I think that the secret then, maybe you can talk about this in your home, is how you extend those words to everything in your life. Would you say that you do that?
I would say that I do. I have always had, since I was a little girl, and I guess this is related to my love of clothes, this very romantic, dramatic propensity. Yes. It would be manifested in the books I would read, and I would very often create costumes that would be my version of what a character in a novel would wear.
Yeah.
And so I think I definitely live life that way, that I see the smallest thing as a possible dramatic moment.
And that's actually, to be honest with you, Lynn, what I love about your blog, because it isn't just a blog about fashion, about clothing. It's about life and about lifestyle and, being unique in this crazy world, how to find those words and express it in the way that you dress. And so if a woman is thinking, okay, I want to be like Lynn, I want to be more adventurous in my clothes, what qualities do you think that she would have to work on? Confidence, you said before, and I totally get that one. And confidence is a tough one.
I think being self-reflective and stopping a moment and really thinking about your relationship to clothes, both in the past, in the present.
Yeah.
When did you feel uncomfortable in clothes? When did you feel that your clothes weren't good enough? There's many, many different ways over time that we relate to clothes.
Yes.
So first, really understanding what your relationship is, so that now that you're older, you can have some choices about it. And that you're not just rejecting something because of an experience that you might have had with it when you were 22 years old.
Yes.
So really thinking about you and clothes and what clothing has meant to you in all the different moments of your life. That would be the first thing.
So confidence, self-reflection, you kind of hinted at this open-mindedness or
Yes.
willingness to kind of go back into your past or even into your present as to what made you feel comfortable. And I don't know about you, but I have several items of clothing that I always wear when I'm a little nervous,
Uh-huh.
because I know as soon as I go to that color or that shape, I'm going to just be able to just not, there's no distinction between who I am and what I look like. What you
Exactly.
get is what you see is what you get. And maybe ask women in the community. I'm asking you now to go to your wardrobe and just pick out the outfit you would wear that does that for you. It's your power dress or your power pants or power clothing. And put in the
Right.
comments below this article. I'd love to have a conversation on that. I would really enjoy that. I think we'd be, could entertain each other.
That
with
would
what we
be a
choose.
very interesting
Yeah, we'll
conversation.
do that for sure. So I guess fearless is another one because I guess you're going in a way against stereotypes and what others might think. So what would you say to women that are feeling nervous about what others might think?
Well, I think there's always things, and again, you have to find it, that make you more comfortable to take a risk. And I'll just give you an example. Up until the time I started the blog, I absolutely hated having my photo taken and would never allow it. Family gatherings, none of it, wouldn't have it, hated it. And so it's so ironic now that I'm doing a blog where I'm photographed every week. Fortunately, my photographer is my partner, Calvin. So it becomes much more of an ordinary event. On the weekend, we go out, we have breakfast, we find a place to take a picture, we come home. It's very, not high fashion or posed or staged. But for me, the sunglasses that I wear on the blog are sort of my way of having a little bit of privacy and give me a little bit more reassurance about being fearless, going out there and doing some kind of crazy pose or something like that. So I think, do you have a comfort, something that you take with you on this journey when you're trying something new, like your pearls?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So you could take a huge risk with a new piece of clothing as long as you have your pearls.
Yes.
You might be able to do it.
Same with my beret. I mean, I've done a lot of videos for 60andMe and I always wear a different colored beret. And I think there's something when I get in front of the camera and I'm doing a video from a location, like where I'm not at home, I'm in the street somewhere in Prague or somewhere and I'm talking about my experience. I put my beret on and it just feels like I'm me. I can talk.
Yes.
And I love your glasses, and I'm glad you explained why you wear them, because I know people will be looking and thinking, why is she wearing them? What is she hiding from?
Right.
But it's not that, is it, at all?
No, it's not. And it's interesting because sometimes people might, I have to say, overall, the response I have gotten has been just amazing, very positive. Every once in a blue moon, someone will say, why don't you take off those glasses? Or, why don't you smile more? And what's very interesting is I, for some reason, have huge amounts of followers from Asia. And some of the Asian followers will make a comment back and they'll say, don't you understand? That's the mask. That's the mask.
Yeah.
And
but
so,
but the mask is you. And I think that's, that's what we're talking about in this discussion, is about being unique. And you have to find that one thing that you're not afraid to wear because it's totally your unique statement. It is your brand. It is who you are.
Or it makes you feel safe.
Yes. Why not? We need that too.
Yes, because women, I think if you're going to take a risk, you need to feel safe. So I think if we're going to encourage women to take risks with their clothing, because it's really a risk of yourself, putting yourself out there in a very different way. And so what can you do to make yourself safe before you try to do something like that? I think is important.
Well, there's going to be a run on sunglasses, I think. No, they're lovely. Anyway, thank you so much, Lynn. I mean, I really encourage everyone who's watching to check out Lynn's blog, The Accidental Icon. It's more than just a fashion blog. I'm telling you, trust me on this. Go check it out and find your unique self. Thank you, Lynn.